Broadcasting live. It's America's longest running talk show on computers. It's Computer America, bringing you the biggest names in technology with guest interviews, new products, and your emails. Listen live at computeramerica.com on any device around the world. Email the show at live@computeramerica.com or find us on social media. Be sure to check out our website for contests, giveaways, show notes, live video stream, podcasts, and more. You're listening to Computer America.
Hello and welcome to the Computer America Show. We are the nation's longest running, nationally syndicated radio talk show on computers and technology. Thank you so much for joining us, everyone. I'm your host, Ben.
And I'm your co-host, Carissa.
Perfect. And everyone, hey, welcome into today's show. Today on the show, we have a full hour of computer and technology news, and we have a lot to talk about. Some stuff that is scary, some stuff that is fun, some stuff that is just plain interesting. And ladies and gentlemen, we have it all here for you. So everyone, sit back, relax. I hope that you're having a good Monday. I know that it's obviously the holidays are right around the corner. Things are starting to slow down or pick up depending on what your job is. And, hey, you can definitely tell things are getting a little happier around, well, at least around here. And, you can definitely tell it with a lot of people here. But I do got to say real quick, though, computeramerica.com, that's where you'll find everything, past shows, future shows, podcasts, reviews, articles, show notes, and more. Hey, you can find anything that we do here on the program. You can find it, well, hey, on our website. While you're there, be sure to check out social media, check out all that good stuff, give us a like, give us a follow, anything helps, and hey, we thank you so much for tuning in. Now, with that being said, before we get started, Carissa, how was your weekend?
Pretty good. I played a lot of video games.
That is what good weekends are made of. And I gotta ask, what is your current game of the month?
Well, I was swapping between Fallout 76 and Animal Crossing, so I'm kind of doing this whole flip-flop thing.
There you go. A lot of customization. I see where you're going with this. So, yeah, I totally get it. I did the exact same thing with WoW, and nice. Yeah, it's hey, I think that if you are into video games, or if you're getting into video games for the first time, not many hobbies are as safe, I guess, in these times as video games, and I think they've really. So true. Yeah, they've really grown, and the amount of people who've gotten into video games has definitely grown this year. But, well, hey, with that being said, everyone, let's... and I should mention one more time. Well, I'm going to mention this every day up until it happens. Starting December 24th, which I believe is a Friday, if it's not a... Thursday. I'm sorry. It's actually Thursday. December 24th on Thursday. And then going to, so the 24th, 25th, all the way through the following week, all the way till the November 3rd, wow. That'd be a long break.
January.
There you go. Yes. January 3rd. Yes. We will have that week off, and then we will be back with more Computer America starting Monday. January 4th. And of course, that week we will, of course, be having, CES. Yes, we've already registered. I've, just did the registration here behind the scenes. Should be good for that, PepCom, and I think Showstoppers as well. All of them will be digital. We will not be out there on location, starting, out there in Vegas. But hey, it's okay because, it's just the sign of the times. I'm sure that the following year, CES 2022 will be in person as well, and we'll be sure to be there for that one. But yep, just so you know, there you go. Okay, so with all that being said, Carissa, unless you have any other announcements, I think we're good to go.
I'm ready.
All right, perfect. Let's go ahead and do this. So everyone, computer and technology news brought to you by Computer America. So, a lot of things that we could talk about here. Let's go ahead and let's start off with a couple of these, and a lot of these are very, very strange. One that kind of caught my eye, and it had to do with Tinder, of all things. And this came from a Reddit post, I believe, that someone was looking through the terms and conditions of Tinder and brought it to everyone's attention that, Carissa, this may be no surprise to you, but Tinder collects and sells your user data. You know, if your age, exactly, right? I mean, that's what a dating site does. They make money not just off of, of course, buying premium membership and that kind of thing, but also,
mining your data.
Yeah, exactly. Everything that you put into a dating site, such as, your hobbies, your age, your location, your gender, kind of who you connect with, what you say, things like that. All that data is packaged up and then sold to, companies that want to buy that kind of data. And someone, because in California, they have a different kind of set of approval in California that they have to do. They have to be very blatant with what they're doing with user data. And somewhere in here, it's a pretty long list, but yeah, and of course, although they do say here, we do not sell your personal information, so no opt-out is necessary. What this means is that we do not rent, sell, or release, disclose, disseminate, make available, transfer, or otherwise communicate in any way your personal information, but for monetary or other valuable. So they won't sell, kind of your physical address, but any data that is derived from you is still up for grabs. So your personal information, your personal identifiable information is not sold, but everything else about you totally is. And one part in here that let's see. So one part in here, let's see, categories of personal information collected over the 12-month period. And let's see, they had one here that talked, actually, let me just go ahead and get back to what the Reddit comment was talking about here. Just 1 second. And it had to do with, let's see, this one right here. Tinder extrapolates estimations on your intelligence and other psychometrics and sells it to third parties. And one of these is, yeah, exactly. Who would have thought? This is kind of machine learning to the nth degree. And it's actually this one right here. So the direct language from the terms of service is this: inferences drawn from any of the information identified above to create a profile about you reflecting your preferences, characteristics, psychological trends, predispositions, behavior, attitudes, intelligence, abilities, and aptitudes. There you go. So there, it's created from data using using your profile and vendors, and it's sold to vendors and professional services and organizations who assist us in relation to business or commercial purposes laid out herein. Obviously, a little bit of jargon in there, but the big one there is that inferences drawn means that they suck up all the data about you, put it through their machine learning algorithm, and they say that, Ben is of average intelligence. He is predisposed to liking, to liking this kind of thing, that kind of thing. His psychological trends, he's, kind of nerdy or angry. I'm not even quite sure what they can truly extrapolate from a Tinder profile and, kind of really come up with these kinds of things. But yeah, they package that up, and Carissa, they sell it to the highest bidder.
They must be also reading your messages and then using AI to kind of,
oh, for sure,
figure out what words you're using and stuff too to do that. But that's crazy. Like, who needs that? Are they selling that to the apps that are like, therapist apps? Is that what they're doing with that?
I mean, intelligence, maybe they're selling it to like bookstores or something. I don't know who would want people who are of different levels of intelligence, but the fact that a dating profile, I mean, don't get me wrong.
And then does it feed you different people based if you match on those behind the scenes metrics,
This is strictly for the information that they collect and sell about you, how they actually use their algorithm and how that works. Carissa, I am positive that you are correct. This kind of thing goes into their algorithm as well, but this says nothing about their secret sauce that is their matching algorithm. This is simply the data collected for advertising purposes. But someone found it very funny that, it's funny and creepy at the same time that, Tinder might have a pretty good idea of your level of character, of your level of intelligence, of your, of your demeanor and kind of who you are as a person because, well, hey, it's a dating site. And like you said, Carissa, when you send messages, when you receive messages, the way that you respond to them, if you are overwhelmingly positive and happy and encouraging in your messages with your matches, they may say that, Ben has a very positive demeanor. He's a very happy person. And, hey, if you want to be super targeted, even information that seems so innocuous, so useless, I guess, to so many people, hey, someone out there is looking for that kind of profile. I don't know. It was a strange thing to come across, but hey, it's laid out in black and white right there in Tinder's, terms of service.
I don't know how I feel about that. I mean, I guess that's it's an app. It's what you sign up for, and nobody's going to read that, Except for this one guy on the internet who it out to everybody else.
Well, yeah, and of course, some of the questions being asked here on the post include how accurate are they, and of course, if they measure that someone is of average intelligence or high intelligence or hopefully not low intelligence, how accurate are they? And then follow up to that, they mentioned if they estimate intelligence as being below average, can you sue them for defamation? Which, no, I don't think you could. This is, they're not publicly claiming that you are stupid. They are suggesting that this person is probably stupid. So
Right, but you're probably not going to see that about your profile anyway. So how are you going to know?
You're not going to see it. And also, again, they don't tie it to your personal information and of course, there are ways to kind of reverse engineer the metrics and, identify someone. But in other words, it's not that Ben is this kind of person. It's that profile 8438492B. That profile is like this kind of person. It's not... Right. They very clearly state that they do not sell personal information. So it's
that's good at least.
It's the information about you that they sell, but not your direct information. It's not like, this email address belongs to someone very stupid. Here you go. Go ahead and have fun with that. Not the way that it works. So it's Tinder. It's really, when you think about the, Carissa, when you think about a dating site and the kinds of things that you will share on there and talk about on there and, the kind of interaction that you'll have on there with other users, Tinder probably has some of the most unique and powerful personal data out there, because on Tinder you're not going to be as candid, you're not going to be talking about your interests, your likes, your hobbies, your all that kind of thing. On Facebook you're probably not going Facebook you probably are that open, but you're not going to have the kind of conversations that you would. Tinder is finding a way to turn its unique platform and its unique data into something that only Tinder can provide, and that is that data. So
right.
I see where they're going with it.
I wonder if the other companies, me too. I wonder if the other companies that own Tinder, and I think they also own Hinge and some other ones too, I wonder if they're also doing a similar thing.
I think Tinder might, I'm so stupid. Of course, Match, Match.com. And of course, Match.com also owns JDate, Farmers. I think they own Farmers Only, Black People Meets. Really think of every niche, Christian Mingle. They own that. They own pretty much every niche dating site. It's all under the umbrella of, actually, here's a little list right here. Tinder, Match.com, Meetic, OkCupid, Hinge, Plenty of Fish, Ship, Our Time, and of course 45 other dating companies. All these are
all of them.
Yeah, pretty much. Any notable one, and definitely any of them that have advertised, they own pretty much all of them. So think about all the different profiles they have of all the different people. Match Group is, they're raking in not just a lot of data, but very unique data. So if Tinder's doing it, you can be sure that every other dating site that at least Match Group Holdings has, is doing the exact same thing. So
interesting.
There you go. I thought that was a very different take on this whole thing. So
yeah.
There, story number one. Story number two. Let's also get weird with it, and we can talk about. This one's fun. Carissa, tell me what you know about a Faraday cage. If you have any experience and any background knowledge of what a Faraday cage is.
No idea.
Okay, so Faraday cage for everyone else, because it's something that's seen in pop culture a lot, and I'm sure that when you kind of see the image of it here, it's kind of like a wire. Chris, I think of like a bird cage would be a good way to describe it, and it's supposed to block. Like in movies and things, they use a Faraday cage to kind of electrify and keep electricity from passing through. In reality, it actually stops like almost all. You do it with magnetic wires, and it emits its own field, and it's a way of blocking wireless transmission of electrical signals and electricity as well. Makes things that you put inside of it completely just kind of locked away from what's outside, mainly in terms of electrical fields and electrical signals. So think of like if you put your cell phone inside of a small Faraday cage, you will not receive any text, you will not get any Wi-Fi on your cell phone. All things wireless just do not work. It's totally blocking.
Is that similar to the shields that they kind of released a few years ago? Where it kept people from like getting into your phone?
Possibly. I mean, it probably did emit. I'm sorry. Wow. It probably did emit a similar kind of electrical interference that a Faraday cage would employ. So probably something similar. But this article here is about a Faraday cage and 5G. There's been a lot of misinformation about. There's been and Craig in the chat room is saying it's not the same, but yeah, there you go. So, but I gotta say that Faraday cage, they've been seen in in media and movies and things like that as being a little bit more powerful than they really are. But long story short, there are people out there that believe that 5G is very dangerous for one's health. They believe it is the source of COVID. They believe it is the source of cancer. They believe it is the source of a lot of bad, nasty things that happen to the human body. 5G in some way acts on the same wavelength as one's immune system and the body and the natural brain function, and it can weaken one's immune system. All this complete bogus. That is not true. 5G is considered safe by all international organizations and standards. So yeah, not true. But for the people that do, they have home Wi-Fi routers that transmit, of course, your traditional BGN transmits on, which are like your older routers that are older than, let's say, 5 years. They all transmit on a 2.4 gigahertz bandwidth. That's the same bandwidth as your microwave. That's what most people are used to. And then, of course, with BGN came 802.11ac, which is also known as like Wi-Fi 7. Anyways, with Wi-Fi 7, there's also a 5 gigahertz bandwidth. I don't know, Chris, if you've ever. Do you know if you have a dual band router with 5G and 2.4? Like when you open up your phone and go to your
older one.
Yeah. So a lot of people out there, when they open up their phone and they see their available Wi-Fi networks, you might see one that says, just your home Wi-Fi network and then your home Wi-Fi network 5G. That would be one of the newer ones, and people are concerned because they consider that 5G to be the same as cell phone signal 5G. So, Carissa, what some smart people did, and I think it's actually very, very funny, was that they sold people Faraday cages. Because again, remember, Faraday cages block wireless signals, such as the ever so damaging 5G, so they claim. 5G. Yeah, exactly. So, what better way than to block 5G and those harmful signals than putting your Wi-Fi router in a Faraday cage? Makes sense, right? But Carissa, can you gather what might happen if you put your wireless emitting router inside of a Faraday cage? What are some side effects of that?
It probably stops working.
It stops working altogether.
Which is the point of Wi-Fi.
Yes, exactly. It does not work whatsoever. Your entire router is completely useless. So, and of course, they have some tweets here for stuff like that. They say, apparently putting Faraday cages around routers has become a thing for 5G conspiracy nuts, and there are companies out there ready to cash in. And of course, you can see the image that this Twitter user posted here. And, it's some of the reviews that they have here are things like kills signal strength for the router. Devices that were previously located about 30 feet from the router that had full signal strength don't even connect anymore. I'm stuck with this $100 plus useless cage. We'll try to sell it on Craigslist. Someone else mentioned Wi-Fi signal reduced significantly. And here you go. Here's an example of one, a little Faraday cage. It looks like it's made out of like chicken wire mesh. And they claim blocks 5G, $90, $10 shipping and handling. Someone else mentioned that decreases signal by 90%. Again, they bought a Faraday cage to reduce the effects of 5G, and turns out it worked perfectly.
And now they're mad about it.
Yeah, it's hard to be upset about this. Someone played them for a fool, and so this article goes on for a bit. We'll include it. It's from Popular Mechanics, which obviously is a very good publication. They go into 5G, is it dangerous, all that kind of thing. Spoiler alert, again, it's not. 5G is safe. Don't worry about it. It's nothing to worry about. And then, of course, this whole story, I thought it was very, very humorous that people would actually.
I would love to know. Yeah, absolutely. And I would love to know how many people actually purchase these cages.
If nothing else, the reviews would probably steer most people away. The amount of people that probably read the reviews and were like, oh, I actually don't want that, are probably greater than the people who were tricked into buying it. But then again, the product, even though they're getting 1 stars, oddly enough, because they do exactly what they claim to do. So,
right. just it's not usually how that works.
Yeah, just craziness. And of course, you can see it right here. Tons more reviews and all that good stuff. So
funny.
Yeah, again, if you want to read some of those reviews, check it out in the show notes. Yeah, you can, of course, do it right there. So, Carissa, story number 2. I think that was a very, very good one to continue on with. Let's go ahead and talk about... how about... Okay. You mentioned... who makes... I think Bethesda makes Fallout 76, right? Am I wrong on that? Yeah.
Nope, that's right.
Okay. So, Bethesda also makes Skyrim, if you recall.
Mm-hmm. Yes, sir.
And, well, Carissa, you mentioned that you're playing some of their games. You might have a new one if you're into Twitter. Check this one out. It's where Bethesda and Elder Scrolls, obviously the game created by Bethesda, unveils a choose-your-own Twitter adventure. There you go.
That's fun.
Steve Dent and Engadget, there are branching decisions that let you choose or not to team up, fight, and more. It's an old-timey text-based game, but hey, it's hosted on Twitter. So Bethesda recently released Markarth DLC game pack for Elder Scrolls Online. There you go. And is currently letting you play ESO Online for free until December 9th. To promote the release of the game pack, Bethesda ANZ is offering a choose-your-own adventure type story on Twitter. The first step is to choose a road, snowy hills, or the woods, and from there you can make branching type decisions about whether to fight, make friends, or more. There you go. So, with that being said, Skyrim players will remember Markarth as the city with a waterfall where shocking Forsworn murder takes place. I actually do recall that in Skyrim. As soon as I saw the image of it here, that is very, very familiar. So they also mentioned that the author tried it and died a few times before making it to the end, where the author arrived at a final tweet with an image. Players in Australia and New Zealand can screen cap that image and submit it to win one of 20 ESO packs. So it's like a choose your own adventure game, but it's also a little bit of advertising, obviously. But I like the idea, and I wanted to branch this further. Carissa, I can't show it here on the air, but if anyone out there would like to try something a little bit different, but in the same vein, Carissa, have you ever heard of AI Dungeon?
AI Dungeon? No, I haven't.
AI Dungeon is a browser-based game. You can also download it for Apple and for Skyrim was a movie where, yeah, it's probably not that, Craig. AI Dungeon is one that you can play on Apple or Android. You can also play in any browser. AI Dungeon is essentially what it sounds like, using artificial intelligence and learning from the people that play the game. You can have your own text-based adventure in the game where you start out with like a class. You can do the setting, if you want to do futuristic, sci-fi, current setting, fantasy setting, whatever. If you want to start out as a rich person, if you want to start out as a beggar, if you want to start out as a thief, a warrior,
Wow.
you essentially set all of the parameters yourself, and then you can go about saying things, and the AI dungeon will automatically generate text for you to read back. You can create situations for it. You can have the AI remember that, your father was murdered by a band of kobolds or something. And the AI dungeon will remember that and work that into the story as you kind of go through it.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah, it's an ever-changing, kind of like self-driven, but it also learns, again, from the thousands or tens of thousands of other playthroughs that have come before you, and kind of what people have put into it before.
That's really awesome. I used to like the books a lot, the choose your own adventure. So this is a nice twist, especially on Twitter, because I feel like a lot of older people get on Twitter. Yeah, and this might be something that they might be more into than, something that's blasting lights and, dragons all in your face all the time.
It's true. And of course, the Bethesda Twitter thing is still available. You can go find it on Bethesda ANZ, which is their New Zealand account, their Australia, New Zealand account. But the AI Dungeon I'm talking about can also be accessed through any browser. So aidungeon.io. And I highly recommend everyone go try that. The only issue is that I wouldn't allow, kind of minors onto it, because unfortunately people are people and they will corrupt AI like you would expect. So, but,
disclaimer.
Yes, but if you keep it all squeaky clean and you kind of play it like, like Chris was saying, like a choose your own adventure book, I mean, it's an ever generating, completely random, ever-changing kind of situation. I highly recommend that people do that. You can easily lose yourself for hours building your own story. So, AI Dungeon.
I might try that when we're off the show.
Yeah, definitely recommend it. So there's that one. Let's go ahead and move on to our next story. I want to talk about this one. So this had to do with Apple. Just real quick, because Apple, with their 2021 roadmap, they recently came out with their own silicon for their own PCs. Yeah, so they've had it for their iPhones for a couple of years now. They've famously moved over their own PCs, and they are custom making their own processors for their computers. Their MacBook Pros and their Macs and things like that. Well, anywho, they had, I think, up to 20 core. I think was the highest processor that you could get. 20 core, 10 thread. It was 10 core, 20 thread CPUs. Well, they just released their new insights, and Bloomberg is sourcing this with a 2021 roadmap, and it's more aggressive to the point where the company is reportedly testing chips for higher-end desktops with as many as 32 cores. And so 32 cores, and assuming it has hyperthreading, 64 hyperthreads, but 32 core is still very, very. AMD still takes the cake in that department. I mean, I think their their highest end one, which costs like $2,000. AMD is currently pushing like a 64 core processor. So they're not as complex as AMD's, but Intel is very famously not that into multi-core processing. So like Intel has like I think Intel has like their own 40 core or something like that, but still, I did not expect Apple to have a 32 core processor. Faster desktops could arrive later in 2021, although the tipster said that the Mac Pro is only slated to arrive by 2022, and it would not surprise me at all that they would take a little bit longer to perfect something that is much more high end. So,
yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, and so Apple was apparently keen to improve graphic performance as well. The company is believed to be testing 16 and 32 core GPUs for iMacs. Its highest end desktops, meanwhile, might get a 64 and 128 core GPU that could be several times quicker than AMD graphics in current Intel-based models. You'd have to wait until later to actually get that. Now, real quick, all of these self-reported measurements by Apple that they've been touting, it's this much faster, it's 98% more power efficient, it's 100% more battery life, it's so much quicker, faster, smoother, blah, blah, blah. Yeah, we still need to verify those with third parties. And, so far we've seen that Apple has rigged the test to be so perfectly suited for its own architecture. And in real world situations, they are not that much more advanced. But so far, I haven't seen anyone that says that Apple is doing anything wrong. They're very good. They might be overpriced, but they actually do, to a certain extent, live up to the hype. So that's good.
As long as they do, I mean, it's probably fine. As long as they can perform how they say they're going to, then it's worth it.
Right. At least somewhere in the neighborhood. But I would definitely wait for the third party. For the third party things. The third party benchmarks. There we go. I definitely need to get that word out. Okay, Carissa, I'm going to do one more story, and then I'll go ahead and let you pick one. But this was something that I should have led off with. Iran has this horrible way of treating dissidents and people that they just don't agree with. Iran tends to kill people. Not good. We here at Computer America are firmly against killing people. It's a bad thing. But this one made news because it was such a different kind of attack. And according to reports, here's how it happened. Spoiler alert, a satellite-controlled machine gun.
Oh, no.
Whatever that means. So this gentleman died in a hospital on November 27th after a gunman fired at his car near Tehran in an ambush Iran's president has blamed on Israel. Not going to get into that whole thing, but there you go. This was Iran's top nuclear scientist, and so Iran's semi-official mayor news agency quoted the deputy commander of Iran's Islamic Revolutionary Guard Corps saying that the machine gun was equipped with artificial intelligence to target the scientist, to target the gentleman here. Mm-hmm. He said that the gun fired 13 shots, but was so accurate that the scientist's wife, who was sitting in the same car, was not injured. The gun was focused only on the scientist, and his wife was not shot, despite being just a few inches away. The head of the protection team was also shot 4 times because he threw himself on the scientist, and no enemy was on the scene to shoot the guards. They said that Iran Press TV reported that the confirming advanced electronic instruments guided by satellite were used in the assassination of the scientist. Okay, so a number of things here. So first of all, I think that there's probably some playing up here because obviously Israel-Iran tensions are, kind of what they are. It's no secret that Israel is seen as a major tech hub, not just in the Middle East, but in the entire world. And I think that if Iran can point the finger at Israel and go, they're using their tech for evil, they're using their technology for assassinations, that could put pressure on Israel from the international community to really start putting sanctions and hurting their economy. And obviously, Iran putting pressure on Israel as much as they can. This gentleman, by all pictures and, by all accounts and all pictures, as you can see here, was shot. Carissa, I don't think either one of us can kind of say, oh, this is what happened, but it's so vague and maybe it's lost in translation, but I'm having a hard time thinking how artificial intelligence, satellite controlled, really played an effect on this and how it couldn't just be someone with a gun and it could be so much more accurate.
Right. Especially if you look at behind the picture of the car, there's a building that could be tall enough in theory. So who's to say there's not other buildings who would be tall enough to have somebody with a long range weapon to get him through the car? I mean, it's possible that satellites did this, but I don't think we're there yet.
And then you have things like drones and whatnot, that could probably be much more accurate and much more efficient at this kind of thing.
Right.
To kind of hand wave and say that artificial intelligence, I mean, Carissa, we've covered artificial intelligence enough here on the show to know that artificial intelligence does false positives a lot. And assuming that he was on a road, looking at the road, just in the image that they have here, I'm seeing at least 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. There's a giant picture of the scientist on the screen here, but I'm seeing at least 7 other cars on the road behind him. No offense. He's a Middle Eastern gentleman with a gray beard.
In the Middle East.
Yeah, in the Middle East, sitting in a car that's probably moving at some kind of speed, to claim that they have the artificial intelligence to perfectly say that this person is this person, shoots only this person. No, I'm going to call malarkey on this one. It seems like the AI gets it wrong so often, and I find it so hard to believe that they can say with 100% accuracy, this is the person that we want to kill. We're only going to shoot at this person. I feel
especially now with a machine gun, like those
right?
things move just a tiny bit every time you use them. Like it would have spread. Like that's too compact. Like it was too perfect.
Yeah, it none of this is really adding up. To kind of throw into the whole thing that maybe satellite controlled. Maybe it was receiving and transmitting data from a satellite, but that's probably, not the big story here. The big story would be, of course, the perfect AI and the perfect military, kind of coupled with it. It's this whole story is hard to believe. I'm really sorry that this gentleman lost his life. But what actually happened there, I think is going to take a lot more finding out, because of everything that we know here on the show about the current state of technology, don't get me wrong, military is ahead in the consumer space in so many ways, but in many other ways, especially in AI. Chris, I don't know if you know this, but Amazon is, Amazon, Google, a lot of these other companies, they famously have very big contracts when it comes to facial recognition with the military. Because Amazon is one of the premier leading AI experts. Google is one of the premier leading AI experts. Intel, IBM. These companies are as good, if not better, than the U.S. military when it comes to artificial intelligence. So I just don't think that we're at this point yet, and this is probably some kind of propaganda to hurt the, to further put pressure on these, to further put pressure between these countries. And again, we're not going to get into the politics of Iran and Israel, because boy, that's a can of worms. But
that's the whole thing. But his wife was in the car?
Yeah, his wife was sitting right next to him in the passenger seat, did not get hit.
And a machine gun didn't even graze her.
Yep.
I see. Yeah.
It's very, very strange. So I don't know. But yeah,
I agree.
I saw the headline satellite controlled, but after digging into the article a bit, very, very threadbare reporting. Obviously, this just happened earlier today, but I'm having a hard time believe that was actually the case. So, yeah. Hey, conspiracy theories abound. Carissa, did you have a story that you really liked?
I do. I want to do this driverless road test.
Driverless road test. I'm assuming that you sent it here.
Top of your list.
At the top, way at the top of my list. Oh yeah, Baidu. Yeah, go for it.
Yes.
Oh.
So this one.
Yeah. So actually, yeah, I go ahead and summarize it. And we can kind of talk about it. So everyone, if you're watching the video portion, you can see it right here. And let me get this right. And there you go. So Baidu Engadget, first time China's capital city has granted such permissions. Speaking of, again, more technology that's probably not ready for prime time. Carissa, real quick, do you know the state of China's road laws and road regulations? Like, whenever I think of, especially like capital cities and busy cities in the Middle East and, places like in developing countries, I think of like, lanes don't really exist. People weaving in and out of cars, horns being used more often than not. Like I think of like really
right, like
unstructured,
cyclists getting into the car traffic and all this stuff. Yeah, like that's how I imagine it too.
Very unorganized and fluid traffic flow. So if somehow Baidu got the thumbs up to operate in that, man, that's gonna like. At least here in the United States and, Europe and other parts of the world, the rules of the road are very, very laid out. And, if you're in the far right lane and you try to take a left turn and a cop sees you, you're pulled over immediately. You get a ticket, that kind of thing. I feel like in China, if you're in the far right lane, but you need to go over and take a left, you kind of just do it. And, if you honk your horn loud enough and you drive predictably enough, you're going to get across the intersection and you're going to be able to do whatever you want.
As long as you don't hit anybody, I feel like you can probably do whatever you want.
Yeah, pretty much. And from what I know about these places, drive predictably. Like, it's very unpredictable because, again, people don't really follow regulation there. But if you drive predictably, like if you very obviously are going to take a left, even from the far right lane, people won't hit you because you are obviously turning left. It's when you hesitate, it's when you drive erratically, that's when problems can happen. But Let's talk about this. So Engadget, a few months after Baidu's robo-taxi service arrived in Beijing, the company has received the first permits to run driverless vehicle tests in the city. China's capital granted Baidu Apollo mission to deploy 5 vehicles on public roads. The company plans...
5.
Yeah, 5. Not many, in a town, or I'm sorry, in a city of probably millions. 5 is not a lot, but it's something. Now, the company plans to, for sure. Yeah, so the company plans to remove safety drivers from test vehicles after gradually reducing human intervention. However, a remote safety operator will control it via their 5G remote driving service. This article is feeling more and more like a big advertisement for Baidu.
Yeah, I feel like most articles are like that these days, though.
They are. That is very fair. So let's go and talk about this a bit more. Beijing has restricted requirements for driverless road tests. Vehicles must have T3 or higher testing ability, safely completing more than 30,000 kilometers or about 18,000 miles of driving on open roads and pass an evaluation on a closed course. Baidu has achieved all these conditions. The company says that the driverless permits are a key milestone towards its plan to build autonomous driving vehicles. I do like that, how they have strict requirements for driverless road tests, and to get the permit to drive, to be on the road without a driver, you have to have 18,000 miles on the road without a driver. Like that is a requirement to get the ability to do it. It's almost like, maybe it's just worded poorly, but it seems like you have to have almost 18,000 miles of doing the thing that you are getting the permit to do before you can get the permit. Because
right, it's like trying to apply for a job, but you need experience, but you can't get experience because you can't get the job.
Exactly. But Yeah. That's a very, very good analogy. That's exactly it. So they mentioned that this is not the first company to take this. Last week, AutoX started testing a fleet of 25 driverless robotaxis in Shenzhen. Okay. AutoX is also running the trial without remote operators. So they claim. I have been for the last, pretty much as long as I've been doing the show. I'm always very skeptical, Carissa, about the news that comes out of China. It's usually many of the reports that come out of there are mostly obviously run by state-owned agencies. Right. Baidu is one of those companies that has strong ties to the current regime, and China is very much trying to appear much more technology savvy than they are. So, kind of saying that, look, we don't just have one company working on driverless vehicles. We already have, like a dozen companies doing driverless vehicles in some of our most populated cities. Look how advanced we are. I'm very skeptical of this article and its ability to do it.
Me too. And I also don't think 5 cars is enough to accurately test the system. Because if you're trying to keep them close together, like in theory, if it's, doing the whole Tesla thing where it, kind of reads where stuff is and you're not near another autonomous car, right? Then how well does that work? And then how does it interact with these other cars if there's only 5 of them in a city of 5 million people?
I'm actually all for starting small, but they definitely are going to need a lot more data to do this kind of thing. Google famously, when they started their self-driving program, they had an entire fleet of cars that were much more than just 5. When Google was making their Street View maps, they used driverless vehicles or at least autonomous vehicles for that process and drove a lot of hours. 5 does seem like a very, very small number, especially for a company like Baidu, but that number will grow, and they mentioned they are not fully autonomous, but they will get there, or so they claim. I'm just so skeptical about anything that comes out of China. It's
fair.
Yeah, not everything is a complete fabrication, but a lot of it is a huge stretch of the actual facts. So let's Okay, so let's go ahead and continue on here. There's that story. And again, links to all these in the show notes if you like to check them out yourself. I wanted to do... Let's talk about... Okay. And Chris, because we talk about video games, I gotta say, Cyberpunk 2077 is coming out. When is that coming out? Cyberpunk 2077.
A couple days, isn't it?
Yeah. Let's see. Release dates. A lot of publications are getting like their early reviews out. Saying like, oh, how does it look? How does it play? That kind of thing. No one wants to give this thing a bad review. But at the same time, I gotta say, I've been hearing a lot of worrying things about this. That they're, kind of what is displayed on the advertising, what's displayed on, kind of like the pregame footage and the trailers and that kind of thing is always super hyped up.
Right.
Yeah, it's... I think if everyone pulled their expectations back a bit for this game, instead of being like, oh, hey, I've been waiting 10 plus years for this game to finally come out, and it's going to be the best game ever because it is 10 years in the making. I feel like if everyone pulled their expectations back and just said, I hope this is a really good game, they might be more inclined to enjoy it than, kind of going in with super, super high expectations. Which, by the way, the advertising for this game has totally led you to believe this is going to be the biggest game ever released. So, I don't know.
I mean, it's better to kind of underestimate what you're getting, so that way you're a little bit less disappointed when it's not what you thought it was. But this does look pretty wicked, and I think it's gonna do something. I think it's going to be fine, and there's always going to be people who are butthurt about something.
Yeah, very well put. That just
is what that is.
Yeah. It's not every game is going to be exactly perfect, but I I personally hope at least it's a very good game. That
it's not going to be a No Man's Sky situation. It'll be fine.
Yes, exactly. So there you go.
As long as it's not No Man's Sky.
Exactly. So that should be released here in a couple days. And if you are if you're really looking forward to Cyberpunk 2077, don't look up reviews at all. Just go in with your own mind. Be like, I'm going to enjoy this game, and by golly, go enjoy that game. You will be so happy that you did. Reviewers, as valuable as they can be for kind of deciding where you want to spend your money. If you've been looking forward to this for a while, just go ahead and do it. Just go do it. Okay, so let's go ahead and let's talk about this one. I believe this is one that you found. And Pennsylvania legalizes delivery bots. And I like how they put the headlights there to make them look like, a little more human, I guess. Yeah, kind of cute. And Pennsylvania legalizes delivery robots that weigh up to 550 pounds and classifies them as pedestrians. There you go. So what does that mean? That means that they can use sidewalks, roadways. They can use anything that a person can use. Hey.
And you get in trouble for hitting them with your car.
That is super important. I was wondering if we could hit them with our cars, take everything inside of them, and call it a day. No, apparently you can't. Exactly.
Dang it.
So making Pennsylvania the 12th state in the United States to permit the use of autonomous devices for delivery. Oh. The approval means that robots, also called personal delivery devices, are now classified as pedestrians so long as they can yield the right of way to real human pedestrians and cyclists. So they're like people, but they're still second-class citizens behind ordinary humans. Good.
Robots never can catch a break.
No, nor should they. They are essentially glorified toasters. They should totally. They should totally.
Well, some of these do look like that, yeah.
Yeah, they really do. So they are going to be on sidewalks with 12 miles per hour. That's extremely fast. They mention a member of the bike pedestrian advocacy group in Pittsburgh. Like many others, Boward does not believe it is proper to legalize PDDs, considering the average walking speed for a pedestrian is only about 3 or 4 miles per hour. And in a city like Pittsburgh, we have narrow sidewalks. Some of these things can be the size of a fridge. How are we going to get around that? So he's envisioning a future where roaming refrigerators mow down people going 12 miles an hour and just leave a wake of moseyed over bodies in
it's a possibility.
I guess, but I do think that these things are going to catch on, especially in cities, but for like long range and things like that, I'm not too sure. I guess COVID has really been accelerating this. The need for contactless, people-less ways to kind of deliver things is very much in people's minds. I don't know, Chris. This seems like a necessary step, but I still think this is kind of far off in the future, I guess. I don't know.
I just don't know if we have the right infrastructure for it, because what you were saying is these are faster than people, a little bit, faster than bicycles and stuff like that. So you would need like maybe a special lane or, an overpass or an underpass or some way for these things to like not interfere with big city traffic. Because if you throw this up in Pittsburgh or New York, it's just going to be in the way, which is, I guess, what this guy's worried about with the refrigerators. But
right.
There's potential for it, but I think they would be better off if they, were drones or something that would be a little bit less taxing on the humans on the ground. And then that's even not talking about the jobs that are being given to the robots rather than people that need the work during COVID. So
right. I
don't know.
I say let's give them the bike lanes, because bikers are so
they
forgiving.
don't use them anyway.
Yeah, exactly. Well, that too. But they're also so forgiving when people are in their biking lanes. Just give it to them. So there you go. Oh, actually, this is a nice little happy reminder as well. This is from The Verge, and just want to throw this one out here real quick. Yeah. Neopets. By the way, they're all going to die soon.
No.
Surprise. Yeah. For those of you who grew up in the late 90s, or not late 90s, the early 2000s, late 2000s, especially, kind of in that era, Neopets was huge. Carissa, did you have Neopets?
Oh, I had so many Neopets accounts, I can't even tell you.
Yeah, because they were all hacked. Man, they I got a lot of items and currency, and I tried to do the events and stuff like that. I never leveled up my Neopets whatsoever. Like, there was like a whole Pokemon-esque battle kind of thing that I could not wrap my head around.
I was there to dress them up and collect the toys and make them cute and stuff. I didn't care about battling or anything like that.
Yeah, well, hey, if you're one of those people, Neopets famously was one of the best examples of what a Flash game was. That thing was just full of Flash games of all shapes and sizes, and of course it was, they were all Flash. Oh my God, look at that shirt. Look at that shirt. That's so sad. Well, due at the end of 2020, all major browsers are going to stop support for Flash. Flash is well known to be a security vulnerability. It's outdated. There are much better netcode and HTML5 and ways of displaying that kind of thing. That Flash is just old hat. Everything that has been developed in the past, 5-6 years has had access to HTML5. Even Adobe, who makes Flash, even they want it dead because they spend so much time patching security vulnerabilities, and they just know it's just a technology that has lived past its usefulness. But what does that mean? That means that because no one ported all the Neopets, and don't get me wrong, it will probably be saved in some capacity and forever immortalized in some kind of archive. But all of the games, no one took the time to port all of the games and recreate every single facet of the mostly text-based and Flash-based games that are Neopets. So
sad. What about Destructo Match?
All of them gone.
This is so sad. The whole thing. So the website's getting shut down. It's just gone.
Yeah, it's the website's probably not gone, but most major browsers will not be able to play the games on there. So they can still run the service and things like that, but when everyone goes to play Neopets, no one continues to go and not play Neopets, it just won't work on your browser. The plugins won't work, just nothing will load. So, and of course, this is, shirts like this and many more. Hot Topic, by the way, if you are wondering, is the one to, and by the way, it looks like the Verge has a nice little go-to link, for that kind of thing. So.
Oh, jeez.
Yeah, Hot Topic.
Well, if you're shopping at Hot Topic, chances are you were playing Neopets when it was new anyway. So
very true. So, yeah, that was a quick little one. We have time for just one more. I know, sad times.
But sad.
Yeah, we have time for one more quick story. I'm trying to find one here that's, that would be... okay, how about we end with this one? And it's very much not in the vein. I'm wondering if there's even a better one I could do. Yeah, no, there's not. So we're just going to go ahead and end with this one. Carissa, do you recall, and I don't think you were co-hosting the show when this happened, but last year or I think it was the beginning of 2019, there was a pedestrian that was unfortunately struck by an AI controlled vehicle, an automated vehicle operated by Uber that the person died in. I don't know if you recall that happening. It made a lot of headlines because it was the
I didn't realize it was an Uber vehicle. I knew there was an autonomous vehicle that hit somebody and they died, but I didn't realize it was Uber.
It was one of the first times that a person had died from the technology, and it famously shut down Uber's attempts at AI driving for 6 months to a year after it happened, and then they started doing it again. But yeah, let's go ahead and talk about this real quick. So that lawsuit is over, saying as part of the deal, Aurora's self-driving cars will eventually operate on Uber's ride-hailing platform. Uber will invest $400 million in Aurora, and Uber CEO will join the board of directors. Essentially, the ride-hailing company will sell its advanced technologies group to Aurora Innovation. Part of that, I guess, is that Uber will not be operating their own self-driving. A different, separate company will be managing that. So
it's probably a good idea.
Yeah, so the deal marks the end of Uber's ambitious dream of replacing its fleet of human-powered taxis with robot drivers. Instead, Uber faced one disaster of its own after another. So, and of course, the company was sued for stealing information from Waymo and how-to from Waymo. It was accused of the death of Elaine Herzberg in March 2018, so it was actually 2 years ago.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, so after a lengthy investigation, essentially they settled out of court for an undisclosed sum, and police later filed criminal charges against Uber's safety driver, and so.
Wow.
Uber no longer pursuing self-driving cars. There you go. So, and yep, Craig, thank you so much for digging up Steve Jobs' old thoughts on Flash. But everyone, hey, there we go. Everyone, thank you so much for tuning into the show. Carissa, I think that was a really good show today. And everyone, be sure to tune in tomorrow. This week, we have a lot of great shows, including Sandy Barger. We have an interview coming up here on Thursday, and a lot more Computer America coming at you. Everyone, hey, catch you later. Bye, everyone.
Bye.